Okay, so this is the form analysis for Tatiana. So let's bring that back. Whoa, 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 whoa. Let's run that in slow motion. Okay, and then we'll bring it back here. So notice that you're leading with your heel, and then you're landing with your heel. And notice your landing position, how your landing angle is it's a little bit back from a 90 degree. So I would say you're more of like a 92 to 93 degrees, like kind of leaning back motion. All right, so let's get you going. Now this is you kind of jogging a little bit. Now we're opening up the stride a little bit more. Okay, so notice how you're coming in and still leading with your heel, which is okay because you're able to land adequately, and your legs aren't going very high. So notice your this angle right here is pretty good. So you're pushing off with your glute. That looks good. You got good knee flexion right here. And in this instance, you should just get ready to land your foot down, but instead you kick it out even further. Notice that? So right here, you should just be focusing on dropping the leg and landing flat, but instead you're kicking it out further, and now you are landing. Actually, it's kind of interesting because you lead out with your heel, but you end up landing flat. So that's great. But again, now your body's breaking itself because you're leaning too far back with your upper torso. That back lean is actually holding you back from achieving faster paces. Also, your back kick is not very high, so you're coming through right here. Now this is parallel with the floor. I drew those too quickly. So your leg is going right here, and the floor is going right here. So that parallel with the floor is not good in terms of stride length, because if you actually kicked up a little bit towards your butt, now you would be able to extend your stride like 3 to 4 inches per stride, which is actually very beneficial over the long run of a race, especially a longer race. All right, this is a little difficult because you're in the back, but we'll back it up just a tad. Okay. Now this is very interesting because you're kind of going stride for stride with Olivia, and notice now how Olivia and you are going together. And she's just pulling away slightly, and I have the notion that the reason she is because of her slight kick towards her butt, more than yours. Yours is actually more apparent here, right here, than it was on the last when we saw you on the grass. When we saw you on the grass, it was far more parallel to the ground, especially because we know this is an incline. So because we know this is an incline, this is actually a lot more knee flexion and kicking towards your butt than before. Again, your landing position is leading with your heel but landing flat, so that's good. And then you're transitioning and you're doing it again. It's kind of hard to see, but I wanted you to see the difference between yourself running here than running on a flat surface. Now, this is important because you can gain more improvement on your form and your mechanics running on a slight uphill, because your form is improved on a slight uphill. So I would suggest like strides at 80%, maybe once a week, maybe 10 of them, but just to get your legs moving and get your body going. So notice that knee flexion and that kicking towards the butt is very important in the stride. Okay, now we got you going up a very, very steep hill. This is very interesting because notice that you're still leading with your heel, even on an uphill. Oddly enough, your body is actually in a very good position here with relative to the floor. Now you're more in a forward lean. That's really good. Like, I think steep hill running is actually going to be beneficial for you as well. Notice your arms though. Your arms are kind of crossing your body, and that's not something you want to do because like I said, the minute you cross your center plane, like where your nose is to your belly button, that would be considered your center plane. If you cross that position, it's going to twist your hips, and you don't want to twist your hips. You want to keep your hips nice and forward, keeping it in a forward motion. So right there, that's how we know you kind of twisted your hips to the right, so it's overcorrecting. So now we see you going and still leading with your heel. And what you want to do when you're running uphill this steep, you want to land on the balls of your feet because now you're going to have it's going to be very difficult for you to maintain that that heel contact on an uphill. Everything looks pretty good. Yeah, I think your body position and body awareness needs to be improved. Also on very steep hills, you want to improve landing on the balls of your feet. This isn't detrimentally bad. I think you're looking okay. But yeah, everything looks pretty good.